Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, publisher of Aspire magazine, celebrating 10 years of inspiring women to live their best lives. I'm also the 8-time best-selling publisher behind the boutique publishing company InspiredLivingPublishing.com, which is dedicated to giving visionary female entrepreneurs, coaches, and health practitioners a voice and a high-profile media and publishing platform to share their wisdom, enhance their expert status, and bring their brand out of the shadows. All of my brands, including this show, are dedicated to inspiring women to live their best lives personally and professionally. So welcome. I am so glad you are here. I have a question for you. Are you a creative, right-brained female entrepreneur? Me too. I have struggled in the past with bright, shiny idea syndrome and couldn't seem to focus on one idea long enough to make any money in my business. And I've been an entrepreneur since '92. And that was a real struggle for me. And one of my greatest challenges when I stepped on the path of entrepreneurship way back when was not realizing how I was wired and the frustration of trying to fit into a left brain biz and marketing plan and model that left me feeling disconnected from the truth of who I am. And when I finally understood, which was only just about 15 years ago, that I am a creative visionary entrepreneur, and when I got that and began working and serving from that energy, my life and businesses completely shifted. And I have to tell you, that is why I am so excited about today's conversation with Minette Riordan about building your business the creative way. Dr. Minette loves bringing creativity and spirituality into business and into marketing and helps clients around the world learn how to integrate all of who they are into their business, which is the secret to building a business that will bring you freedom, flexibility, and financial independence. Dr. Minette of PathToProfitAcademy.com is an award-winning entrepreneur and best-selling author of The Artful Marketer, the fundamental business guide for creative entrepreneurs. For over 10 years, she ran a multimedia publishing company, growing a small quarterly newspaper to a monthly magazine with a circulation of 50,000 copies a month. Even though that company was grossing hundreds of thousands of dollars, cash flow was a challenge. Minette realized that working hard and selling more were not the answers. She also realized that big changes to her business model and her lifestyle were needed, and making those changes helped her to get out of debt, turn her nearly bankrupt business around, and ultimately sell her publishing company and move her family to gorgeous, beautiful Santa Barbara, California. And as you're about to discover, Minette is passionate about helping other creative women entrepreneurs like you and me to work smarter and avoid burnout by building sustainable, profitable businesses that they love. Welcome, Minette.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for that awesome introduction.
Well, I have to tell you, when you and I first connected, I was like, ta-da! Why weren't you around 15, 20 years ago when I was struggling to identify what was holding me back? I have been just blown away by your work going, so many creative entrepreneurs are struggling in their business. And I know from our personal conversations that breaks your heart as much as it breaks mine.
Oh, it does break my heart. And, as you shared at the beginning and as I personally experienced, we were stuck trying to build our business in a way that really didn't work for us. And it took the fun out of it. It created the overwhelm and the burnout that you talked about in my intro. And mostly it just, I think, kept us stuck at a certain income level. And so when I sold my publishing company and moved to California and had to start building all over again, I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way. And I think so often that we create what we need the most, and then when we create it, we find that it starts to resonate with other people. So it's I feel like I sort of backed into this in a really fun, beautiful, and creative way because it was what I needed at the time too.
Well, it's so funny because I personally believe that everything that we go through in our life is leading us to our soul's purpose, right, into our life's mission. And so I was giggling when you said that because that I think it's for spiritual entrepreneurs, our own life and our mess is our message, as long as we do the inner work to make it so. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. And it's so true that it's one of the things that I see so many entrepreneurs struggling with that are new in business is that they feel like because they're new in business, it's almost like they've lost their expertise. A big part of what I do, and I'm sure what you do, especially with all of your amazing authors that you support, is helping them to realize that every single experience, every job, everything that they've done, gone through, and lived through really contributes to the amazing people that they are today, and that they bring all of that. So they may be new at the strategy of actually building a business, but the gifts and talents that they bring far outweigh any of those challenges they may be experiencing about the pieces that they just don't know yet. And so never to discount all the different things that we've done in terms of how we're able to connect and influence others in the work that we do.
Oh, I believe that with my whole heart because if I look back on my path, they say hindsight's 20/20, but if I look back, I see that I was being prepared for the work that I'm doing now. And I do it, and this is what I love about the Spiritual Creative Entrepreneur Circle is we're here to show up and share our unique gifts. We're not here to mirror someone else. We're here to serve with all our life experience, all our training, all our expertise as only we can. And that is the beauty of being a creative entrepreneur. We're creating from our soul, from our soul's purpose.
Absolutely. It's I love what you said, that we're not here to be mirrors, and yet at the same time also helping people see that there's nothing new under the sun. So it's both, it's both mirroring what's come before as well as reframing that in a way that's totally new. It's kind of this sort of a contradiction, if you will, that's really beautiful for the creative, because I also see new entrepreneurs in particular struggling with how am I going to stand out, how am I going to be unique. And so I loved what you said. All we have to do is be ourselves.
Yes.
So even if what we're teaching may not be completely new. Do you know how many marketing and business coaches there are out there in the world? Probably, hundreds of thousands, if not millions. But yet nobody does it quite the way I do. Nobody does publishing the way you do, or radio or magazines. I've been, to share my own journey with you, I started following you when the digital version of Aspire first came out 10 years ago, and I was still doing print at the time, print media, and watching what you were creating online was such an inspiration to me. I even thought about starting a digital magazine, ended up going different directions. But just noticing how all these opportunities and inspirations show up to create the path that we're on right now, and just being okay with being who we are in and of ourselves, I think is just a part of the journey that we have to master, and sometimes almost feels like the hardest part for especially creatives who want so badly to be original and to be unique, but just to stand in that place of genuine value, of really appreciating our own value in everything that we bring and saying, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing, and just trusting that when you fully show up and fully integrate all of your gifts, that all those people who have been waiting for you start to show up and they become the mirror. They're the ones who start showing up saying, yes, you're the solution to my problem. And it's beautiful to watch. I know you've seen this with your clients too, that the more they stand in their truth, the more their business grows in magical and very inspirational ways.
Oh, you nailed it. And you said something a moment ago too about being yourself. Authenticity is one of the key feminine principles, success principles that I use. There's 5 of them. And it wasn't until my dark night of the soul when I transitioned from print, that time period that you witnessed, to digital. It was because of this reason we're talking about today. I hit my wall financially, emotionally, spiritually, which it sounds like you did in your publishing business too, and realized I can no longer create from a model that it was taking my life force energy. And I didn't have the language that you have now to describe what was happening to me. I can look back now and say, it was that moment when I stood in my truth, my authentic truth, as a publisher, as how I wanted to serve, and said, I am so done doing it the way I believe I have to because others are doing it that way. And I stepped into my authentic truth, which led from that moment to everything you see now, led me to serve and create from my truth. And that's what you're all about. You're about helping women, creatives, build businesses that integrate their truth, their gifts in a way that's unique to them. Because like you said, there's other book publishers, there's other magazines, there's other marketing specialists. But we bring to the table what no one else can because we're a unique divine being. So you nailed it. Authenticity and showing up as the truth of who you are is one of the keys to business success.
Absolutely, absolutely. That, and I would say having a plan in place. I love having gone from print to something much broader for both of us and something much different for both of us. That, you know, it's amazing how those dark nights of the soul were the same for both of us. The publishing definitely brought me to that place of total burnout, exhaustion, not loving what I was doing, not feeling like I was having the impact I was meant to have, and really feeling the need to shift. And yet making the internal shift first and then following that shift with a really clear plan of what's next. I find that one of the things creatives struggle with is that we have so many ideas, we forget that we need a plan underneath them to make them all happen.
And I want to talk about that more because that was my struggle, especially in my retail business for many years. And we'll be back in a moment with Dr. Minette Riordan of PathToProfitAcademy.com.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Inspiration for a woman's soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire Magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back to Inspired Conversations. This is your host, Linda Joy, and I am having a conversation with Dr. Minette all about creativity, creative entrepreneurs, how to blend who you are with a plan and strategy, right? Because you have to have both, and that's what we're about to talk about, in order to create a successful business. And I have to tell you, you hit it right, the nail on the head, because for me, in my other business, which I opened in 92, I really struggled. I was more of the visionary, didn't want structure, flow, and yes, I won multiple awards with that business, Small Business Association, Business of the Year. But internally, like inside, I was struggling. I was always pushing, striving, trying to do things from a different energy. And when I started the digital mag, which is very creative, the print mag in 2006, I was based on my creative vision. And I struggled, Minette, with exactly what you said. I thought plan was a four-letter word, right? And I was like, oh no, I'm not going into that trap. No one's going to get me to plan and have this and that, because I felt like it would stifle my creative vision, right? When I had finally found it. Does that make sense? Do you see that people struggle with that too?
It so makes sense, and I can't tell you how many clients I have that say exactly like that. I don't need a plan. I don't want a plan. A plan's going to stop my creative flow. And so what I have learned personally is that you actually have more creative flow when you have structure around you. And so the structures don't have to be boxes or barbed wire fences. You know, I'm a native Texan, so you'll hear some of my Texas analogies. But when I started my publishing company, I had such a similar experience as you. I thought, oh, this is going to be creative. This is going to be fun. I'm going to get to meet people in my community like you. I won a whole bunch of awards. But inside the business, we were struggling, as it said in my bio, we were struggling with cash flow. We were struggling to make it work. I felt like I just kept working harder, and if I just sell one more ad, if I just do, one more this, go to one more networking meeting, it'll be okay. And what I discovered was, at the time my kids were really little, Linda, when I started the magazine in 2002, they were 3 and 1, and I just was spending less and less time with them and my husband's. I was working weekends, working nights. I was doing everything myself. And even as the business grew and outwardly looked successful, I didn't know where I was going. Like, I just kind of leapt into it without looking, which is a typical creative visionary thing to do. I just thought, I can do this. How hard can it be? And I realized that's one of my mantras. I can do this. How hard can it be? And not knowing how hard it could be was both a gift and a curse. And when I realized that just by making a few shifts in intention, in focus, and in goals, and putting some simple plans in place, that's what allowed me to turn the business around. And it was a conversation with my accountant one year when we had grossed hundreds of $1,000s, like $350,000 that year in our business. And she told me I should have paid myself $77,000 that year. And I hadn't. I'd maybe paid myself $12,000. And I just kind of looked at her and I said, where's my money? I was so focused on the fun, creative parts, the content and the ads, and I loved the sales and the marketing, and I wasn't focused on the numbers. I didn't even know how much I wanted to make or needed to make. I was making sure everybody else got paid except me. And it was such a painful moment to sit there across the table from her and realize that I wasn't doing things in a way that were creating a viable, sustainable, or profitable business. And that was such a turning point. And from that point, I did turn everything around, thankfully, and was able to sell that and move to California. And if I hadn't had that moment, I wouldn't be on the path that I'm on now. It's those amazing connections. I love the way you always talk about your dark night of the soul. And that was one of those turning points for me, and allowed me to get to the point where now I am so committed to helping other creatives understand how to use very simple, very visual plans that help them create businesses that they love and make them money, because none of us get into business, Linda, to be broke, right? At least not me. I don't know about you.
No. We want to serve, but we also want to serve our families and ourselves, right? And for me, way back before I was in balance, I put service to others before my own well-being. And because I was creative, our stories, I got to tell you, are almost right to the fact, even down to sitting down with the accountant and getting the news like, excuse me, what do you mean you have no business plan, no anything? So I cannot believe how much our story of our business, our publishing business, was really so aligned. So I could deeply feel everything that you were sharing with us, because I experienced it. So thank you for that, because there could be someone on the line, and you and I know this, who says, oh my God, she's sharing her truth of the dark times in her business. Yes, I think we all need to do that more often.
Yes.
Because everyone struggles, but there's others out there that can help you through whatever that struggle may be, and that's what we're here to do today. you're not alone. Every business owner has gone through their dark night of the soul, their struggles. So I just wanted to say thank you for sharing that, and for everyone on the call, you are not alone.
It's so true. And even recently, when I first started my coaching business, which has been about 3.5 years ago now, it was starting all over, and I thought, sales and marketing is going to be easy. That part was easy for me with a publishing company, and then I found it hard, and I tried webinars, and I tried this kind of marketing and that kind of speaking, and lots of things just flopped. And I was sharing this with one of my clients. She said, I wish you would share this in our Facebook group with our, for our academy. And she said, because it's so heartening to know that, looking at you, it looks like everything's always gone right. And the truth is that there are things that have gone right, and there's so many things that have gone wrong. And it's so often, especially for creatives, when we have so many ideas, it feels like we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something will stick. And it was at that moment when I was tossing spaghetti at the wall and spending so much time online and trying so many different things that I realized, okay, I'm creating the same pattern again. I don't have a plan. And so I went back to that space of, all right, I get it, Linda, I get it. Everybody's saying I need a business plan. I was so resistant. And I thought, okay, I understand. I need a plan. I have to make it fun. How are we going to make it fun for me and for other people as well, to make sure that for me personally that I wasn't going towards another dark night of the soul, because I didn't want to go there again. And so that's what led me to my book, The Artful Marketer, and to creating some simple tools for women to make it fun to sit down and really dream about what it is we want to create, to give ourselves the time and the space to really set creative and spiritual intentions, and to really connect to our big why. Like, I know, Linda, that you can articulate so clearly why you do what you do. So can I. And it's what helps me get out of bed every day, because, business can be challenging. It's not perfect every day, but I know why I get up every morning. And for me, it's freedom. Freedom for me, for my family, for my clients, for women business owners.
Oh, that's beautiful. Freedom. And that's a nice energy to tap into every morning, because it energizes and fuels your day, your intentions, your everything that you put into your work. So I want to talk about, too, because you just talked about the importance of a business plan. And the key element that I find so different with yours is the business plans that I know that I went through with the SBA score and all that 20 years ago, for a creative were like, oh, my God, they were pulling my teeth out one by one and every eyebrow hair, right? I couldn't get into it. I couldn't wrap it. And then I saw what you do with your clients, and they're beautiful and visual and colors and graphics. And I was like, now this I can get. So let's talk about the importance of a business plan. Tell us more about that and how you came to this way of doing it in serving creative entrepreneurs.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. And so I want to say up front that traditional business plans do have value. So, for example, if you're trying to build a business where you're going to need investment funding, a bank loan, or you're looking for angel funding or venture capital, you're going to need a traditional business plan. And if you're super creative, get someone to help you. You don't have to do it by yourself. Places like SCORE are great for helping you. And for me personally, it did feel like pulling teeth when it came to the financial pieces and even some of the forecasting and the projections. And it's challenging if your mind doesn't work in that linear structural way. So when I was sitting with yet another financial person in Santa Barbara, and she's like, you need a plan. I'm like, okay, I agree, and I'm going to make it fun. So I actually have a model, Linda, for a one-page business plan, because what I also know about those of us that are creative is that we're very visual. And a traditional business plan can be like a 1-inch thick binder, and it tends to sit on your bookshelf and collect dust, often right next to the plan from your financial planner that you never look at, and all those self-help books that you never look at. So if it's not actually hanging up in front of you where you can see it every single day so that it motivates and inspires you, a plan instantly eliminates overwhelm from your day-to-day operations of your business. Because when you have a plan, you know what you need to be doing. I see so many creatives struggling every day. They're like, I know I need to be doing marketing, and I know I need to do this, and I need time to be creative, and I have to make my art or write the blog post or do this, and it feels like such a challenge. So what I created was, it looks like a mandala, a beautiful, colorful mandala, and it just has this simple, basic nuggets of all the pieces you need to know, from how much money you want to make down to how many sales calls do you have to make, or how many blog posts do you need to write each week. So just simple strategies that keep us on track. And then when we get off track, it pulls us back. It asks you to look at things like your core values and what's your big why. Who are your perfect clients and where are they? I think that's one of the things a lot of entrepreneurs, especially creative entrepreneurs, struggle with is, I don't know who my clients are. So just clarifying some of the core elements of a successful business and then hanging it up in front of you and making it really pretty so that you look at it, that you want to look at it every day and stay on track.
Well, that's what I have to say about, I was just going to say is creating it the way that you teach and instruct your clients is something that you know you're going to use because it's being birthed from your own energies, right? It's visually pleasing, but it's speaking your language. That's what I find. Yes. And I've seen all the different photos of the ones, in your groups and the ones that your clients have posted, and I'm like, oh, my God, now that speaks to me. And you must have been looking at my shelf when you say, oh, the financial plan and the business plan. But I fully agree. I didn't reach this level of success until I blended what I call masculine and feminine, right? So in the case of this conversation, the creative side of me with the strategy side of me. Yeah. I had to come into a merging of that, and that just happened. I transitioned online in 2006, still was defining what it meant to show up in the world as me, as the authentic creative entrepreneur. So I would say probably 4 years ago. And I realized that plan is not a four-letter word. It's actually, I shifted my mindset, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. I realized that my creative vision is big, but anything big needs a strong foundation. And I started seeing plan, the tool that you use to create the firm foundation for your vision to be built on. And the moment I energetically got that old spark, that old trigger related to the word plan disappeared. And then my business has continually almost doubled each year since I got that. So, and that's what I'm hearing with you is that this is an important tool for us to put that plan into place. And we're going to talk about that more in a moment. We will be back with Dr. Minette to talk more about this important topic for creative entrepreneurs. And you can learn more about Dr. Minette at PathToProfitAcademy.com, and we will be back in a moment.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Are you a creative coach, author, or speaker who struggles with bright, shiny idea syndrome? Are you wondering how to turn your bright ideas into a profitable business? Traditional business planning doesn't work for most creatives. That's why Dr. Minette Riordan created the Path to Profit Academy, a program designed just for creative women entrepreneurs who are ready to take their business to a new level. No more boring business plans. No more struggling with marketing messaging or wondering where to find clients. Dr. Minette Riordan will show you how to use your creative gifts and talents to design the perfect business model just for you. Are you ready to take the next step building your business? Learn more at PathToProfitAcademy.com.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, you're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm Linda Joy, and I'm in the middle of an inspiring conversation with Dr. Minette, and we're talking about everything that I like. This is one of my favorite topics. It's about being a creative entrepreneur, but having the strategies and systems and business plan in place so you can be a successful creative entrepreneur. And isn't that what we all want? It isn't the fact about being an entrepreneur. It's to be a successful one so we can create the life we desire and that we deserve. So, Minette, just for the sake of our listeners, let's define a creative entrepreneur.
That's a great question. So I think it's a term that people readily self-identify with. You know, at the beginning we talked about being right-brained. You might consider yourself to be right-brained. You're probably very visual. You have lots of ideas, and you find it really hard to prioritize those ideas and focus on one at a time because you love all of them. And the truth is that every single one of your ideas has tremendous value, and the secret to building a successful business is simply knowing how to prioritize them. But I think it's that visual piece that you tend to think in circles and not in linear structure. In fact, you probably tend to avoid structure because it just kind of feels like somebody's squeezing your brain to make you think inside of structure. And I think it's also about learning styles, that we tend to be very creative in our learning style. We're really lifelong learners. We love input, and it's really important to be able to have that input then translated through our creative filters and put back out into the world. So in a nutshell, I would say that they're visual thinkers with lots of beautiful ideas who tend to really resist structure.
It is a beautiful definition, and I was raising my hand as you were defining it. So let's talk about, because you serve your clients in such a beautiful, empowering way by giving them these tools and structures and plans and helping them define it for themselves. What are some of the mistakes that you see creative entrepreneurs making?
So I would say number one is not having so a couple of things. So I want to say they don't have a clear goal of where they want to go next. So the thing about creatives, and you said this a minute ago about yourself as well, and we're visionary thinkers. We can often see these huge, beautiful pictures, and we have a sense of being called to do this great work in the world, but we get really overwhelmed with understanding how to go from where we are to this big picture. And the plan is the first step of that. So not having a plan is one of the mistakes that I see. The next is, and we've touched on this as well, is being numb to our numbers. You know, creatives are about art. I think it's why the myth of the starving artist exists, is because that creatives are so focused on doing their work, they forget to pay attention to the details. And the details of your numbers are so important to your success. And like planning, numbers were, well, they're not a four-letter word, but they weren't a fun thing for me. And it wasn't until I mastered the simple numbers in my business that my business really took off. So not having a plan, not knowing your numbers. And then the other thing is not knowing who your perfect clients are. You know, I loved one of our initial conversations, Linda, was you asking me who my clients are, and that was your way of determining, are we going to be a match to work together? And I so appreciated your clarity around who your clients are. And one of the reasons why creatives struggle to be successful in their business is because they feel called to help everybody. And it's not that you can't help everybody, it's that you can't market to everybody. So identifying who's that perfect client is the absolutely crucial step towards building a profitable business.
That is, I'm so glad you brought number 4 up, because not knowing your ideal client, I see so many times. And yes, it is always one of the questions I ask a potential client of mine, because for one, I have a personal motto that it's service before sales, right? Which means if I'm going to work with someone, I want to be sure that my services are going to serve them. that also means they need to know their audience so that I know if it's my audience to be able to serve them, right? So that question, as you know, because I'm sure you ask it with your clients, but do you know how many conversations I've had, Minette, that they don't know that answer? They're like, I want to serve all women. I'm like, I love that you have such a big heart, but you are not going to attract who you are meant to serve with your unique brilliance if they don't see themselves in your language, if they don't feel that you really get their journey. So is this something you have to work with a lot with your clients?
Absolutely. It's the first step. And, we host a 3-day live event that we love called The Path to Profit, and it's a huge part of the whole weekend because you cannot build a business plan or a marketing plan until you know this piece. And yet creatives resist. They so resist. It's fascinating to watch. And even when I was first starting my coaching practice, I remember I was walking on the beach with my husband one day, and my husband's an Ironman triathlete for fun as his hobby, and he had some guys he was training with, and one of them was working with this really cool entrepreneurial magnet in Santa Barbara, and he was asking my husband what I did, and he turns to me when we're on the beach, and he says, Minette, I didn't know what to tell Doug it is that you do. And I thought I was being so clear, Linda. I thought I was articulating what I was doing, what I was up to, how I was helping people, and I realized that it was clear as mud. And I know this stuff. I had already been teaching this stuff. I've been teaching other coaches how to create marketing plans online since 2007. I know how important this is. And once I got crystal clear about the creative piece, and so I love working with creatives and service-based businesses. So even as I go forward and knowing who my audience is, I continue to refine and refine and refine and realize that I don't work with brick and mortars like I used to in the publishing company. I don't work with people who are marketing products. I tend to excel at really helping service-based business owners, and they're the ones who struggle most with niche. There's lots of words for it: niche, target market audience, ideal client. But once I got crystal clear about everything, and that's when my business really exploded. And like you, I have either tripled or doubled my income every year since I've had my coaching practice. It's been just an amazing, wild ride. But every client that I have worked with in my entire career as a business coach, and even before that, when I had my publishing company and talking about being of service, I would sit down with the owner of a small business, a dance school or gymnastics school. I had a parenting magazine. And we would talk about who their clients were, and they didn't know. They didn't have a clear sense. And so I feel like this piece is so important, and yet there's so much resistance. And it is. I loved how you put it. It's because of their huge hearts and their call to service. And so what I want to say to people that are struggling with this particular piece, Linda, is that this is just a marketing tool. You're not saying no to people. I find that creative women in particular with huge hearts that love to serve feel like they're saying no to people and that they're limiting their ability to serve. And it's actually the opposite, that the more you narrow your focus and market to a particular group, the more of them stand up, self-select, and say, yes, you're the perfect coach, author, writer, artist, therapist, acupuncturist, whatever. You're the perfect one for me because you get me. You see the problems that I have and you offer the right solutions. And so trusting that even though you may be marketing to this slim piece of the population, you're not saying no to everybody else. Like I market to women. Do I work with men? Sure, they show up, but I market to women, and that's mostly who shows up. So just knowing and trusting that you're going to get to serve as many people as you possibly can.
And I love what you said. I believe, too, like you do, that we're being more of service when we say no to someone that's not our ideal client, right? Because
Absolutely.
That's being of service to that person. And also is empowering them to get to the next step. And so for me, that was a big thing. And I love what you said, too, that over time since launching your coaching business and that conversation with your husband, that it's a continual redefining of our ideal client because we change, right, energetically, our passions change, and sometimes our business changes. And it's always clearly defining that because I think we are able to do that because the more we serve that particular circle of clients, the better we get to know them, their desires, their needs, what they really need to break through to the next level. So I love that you said that because I'm constantly in that too, is I want to get to know them when I say them, meaning my ideal client, on a more intimate level, because when we do that, we can create and serve from a higher level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I loved what you said about service before sales, because the other piece I think that I see most of my clients struggle with is the sales piece and not wanting to appear salesy or feel salesy. And the truth is, if you just show up in service, and as we talked about, I think before the last break, if you just show up authentically as you, modeling and walking your talk and really guiding people, it's never about sales. It's simply about being of service. And it's such a beautiful mindset shift to let go of the piece of feeling like you're constantly pitching people, and just constantly show up in service through your content, through your social media, through your speaking, through all the different things that you're doing, just showing up and saying, I'm here to help. And it's amazing when you have that belief and that faith in yourself, then the clients just start showing up. Like I had a client yesterday, she called me last night, so excited. We had just, I think we actually tripled her prices. She was so undervaluing herself, Linda. And she's working with corporate clients. And I said, you can't undervalue yourself, particularly with this population. So she showed up in service. She said, here's how I can help. He said, okay, how much? And she said her price. And he said, okay. And she said it was so simple, like he never even blinked an eye, because she just stood her ground, showed up in service, and said, yes, I can help. And just to see the transformation in her feelings of confidence and belief that she can be of service in a way that is powerful and get paid well for it is really, those transformations are so beautiful to watch.
Oh, and I love what you said. She owned her value, and that is so important. And we'll talk about that more when we come back. We will take a commercial break, and you are with Linda Joy, host, and Dr. Minette Riordan of PathToProfitAcademy.com. And when we come back, Minette, I want to talk about some of your favorite marketing tips for creating visibility and attracting clients. And we'll be back in a moment.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
We can all use a little more peace and joy in our lives. Don't you agree? Counselor, best-selling author, and self-nurturing expert Kelly Grimes of CultivatingPeaceandJoy.com is passionate about empowering overwhelmed and exhausted women to live with more peace, joy, and meaning through the practice of self-nurturing. Through her experience working with individuals, speaking, providing workshops, and teaching professional and leadership development to forward-thinking organizations, Kelly knows that nurturing peace in the world begins from the inside out. That's why she created the free Cultivating Peace and Joy mobile app that brings you beautiful self-nurturing reminders, guided meditations, empowering practice tools, and daily prompts with an inspiring question to guide your daily self-nurturing practice. Download your free Cultivating Peace and Joy mobile app today at CultivatingPeaceandJoy.com.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Hi, this is Carly Simon for LifeBeat. The music industry fights AIDS. The AIDS crisis isn't over. There have been amazing scientific breakthroughs, but people are still dying, and your local AIDS organization needs your help more now than ever. Volunteer and make a difference.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, you're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, and I am joined today by Dr. Minette Riordan of PathToProfitAcademy.com. And Minette, what are some of the favorite marketing tips for creating visibility and attracting clients? Because those are the two biggest needs that this market has, right, to be a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm seeing more and more with creatives how much they struggle with visibility. It's scary to put yourself out there and to stand up and say, this is who I am and this is what I stand for and this is how I want to be of service in the world. And yet visibility is the key to success. And so a couple of, I always laugh when my clients say, I'm really struggling with marketing and, I know I need to be doing Facebook and I know I need to be doing this. But my number one marketing tip, Linda, is get out of your house and go meet people. Go find where your clients are spending time. This is why it's so important to know who your clients are and go connect with them. This could be as simple as a meetup. Like in Santa Barbara, everybody has dogs. Dogs are super popular. And so there's dozens of meetups. There's some for big dog meetups and some for small dog meetups and some for, let's go run on the beach meetups. And so if you know that your clients are dog lovers, go take your dog, and you're a dog lover, go take your dog and go to the meetup. And so it doesn't always have to be about formal networking, although I'm a huge fan of networking. Networking was how I've built every business that I've ever had successfully, and why I've won so many awards is because showing up in service through your community networking events is super powerful. Another way to create that kind of visibility and connect with your clients is public speaking. And I know, Linda, that there's people listening to this who think that public speaking is probably the scariest thing in the whole world, and you just have to take baby steps and do it anyway. I'm a fan of Toastmasters for people that are nervous about it. And I'll share a story. When I first got asked to speak, when I had my publishing company, I was asked to speak to a local Rotary Club about marketing. And I had this 20-minute talk prepared. I gave it in 10 minutes. I was so nervous. I read the whole thing. I went so fast. My face was beet red. My knees were shaking so hard. And people were so gracious and kind to me. I love speaking to Rotary groups because they're always such lovely people. But they were so gracious and kind and said it was great content. But I did it, and I just kept doing it. And that was, probably 12 years ago. And now public speaking is the number one way that I get clients and grow my business. So those are the big things. Get out of your house and meet people through networking, meetup, and public speaking. And then online, I know that you and I are both fans of this, but content is still the queen of online marketing and visibility. Give away your best stuff all the time, everywhere. People tend to get very nervous about sharing their content and their ideas and thinking other people are going to take them, or if I give it away, nobody's going to pay me. And the opposite is true. It's back to putting service before sales. Constantly show up in content with education, insights, tips, strategies. If you haven't been on the Aspire blog, go. There's so much beautiful content and how-to information on Linda Joy's blog and in her magazine as well. But just go where there are people that you want to connect with and show up in service. Facebook groups would be another great way to show up in service. Share your best stuff everywhere that you can, and it makes you magnetic to the right clients.
That's so true, and I love that you talked about content as queen, and that the fear that some people have that, oh my God, if I give them away all my tips and my free opt-in gift, they're not going to, like you said, come pay me. And I agree 100%. It's the opposite. It's the more you come from a place of service and delivering the best of what you have, whether it's a blog post or, like you said, interacting in a Facebook group, the energy that comes out and is received on the other end is twofold. One, it says, wow, she really knows her stuff. And the second, and this is the most powerful, I think, is, wow, if she gives all that much for free, imagine what she gives her paying clients.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's this paradigm, especially if you're a spiritual creative entrepreneur, because we have subgroups of subgroups, is it's about service. It's about showing up. It's about knowing and trusting that you are here to serve your unique audience, and there is no lack or competition, right? You don't have to fear of giving your stuff away, that someone's going to take it. That's the old paradigm. That's the masculine paradigm, right? The new paradigm is service and authenticity and love-based marketing, right? Love-based marketing for service-based marketing. Coming from your truth to serve, knowing that when you do that, you will be a magnet to attract those that you are meant to serve.
And then I think to, really bring all of this full story, full circle back to what we talked about at the very beginning, was authentically sharing your personal stories in your content. Part of the fear of visibility is putting ourselves out there. I don't want to be on Facebook. I don't want to tell people what I'm up to. But what you and I have both learned is that the more willing we are to share our own personal journey and our personal story, the more likely people are to connect, and to connect at a deeper level and to respond. And so, no, I'm not talking about putting every tragedy that you've ever experienced. I'm not talking about what you ate for breakfast, putting that on Twitter or Facebook. I'm talking about showing up in service and modeling what you've been through that will resonate with what your clients are going through now. There's nothing more powerful, and I think in large part we have Brene Brown as one of the people who has really, I think, changed the playing field on that front dramatically. Elizabeth Gilbert and is another one. Her book, Big Magic, has been one of my favorite reads of the last year or so. But just truly putting yourself out there and sharing the parts of your story that show not only are you an expert, but they show your humanity. They show that you've been through what your own clients are experiencing, and it's the most powerful marketing tool that I know.
I think so, especially for us, for service-based entrepreneurs, because I've been very open, as you know, about my journey from being a welfare mom to what I do today. Why do I share that? It's been, my daughter's 32 now, so it's been a 26-year journey. I share it because there could be one woman out there who is about to give up like I was going to give up back then, who believes that all the dreams she has in her heart are not achievable. And who the hell am I to not share my truth on my journey to give that person hope, right? And that's why I'm so authentic and real and vulnerable. Same thing about the conversation we just had a moment ago about the struggles we both had in our publishing businesses. There is an entrepreneur right now about to give up on her dream because she doesn't know there's another way, because so many entrepreneurs wear masks and say that everything's perfect and it's so easy to build a six-figure business. Shit, it's not even easy to build, a $50,000 business. So when you step out with authenticity and share your truth, you are empowering someone else. You're giving them that piece of hope that they need to hold on to, that, hey, if Linda and Minette got through that, and I'm going through those same struggles, then this is possible. And what a gift. That is being of true service. And I just want to, I'm going to get all mushy here, but that's what this call is about. That's what your work is about. That is what my work is about. And I am so glad that we had this conversation. And I know, this will be one of many conversations that we're going to have because this whole conversation really touched a chord in me of how much this needs to get out there, right? Because you and I both don't want another entrepreneur struggling. So I want to say thank you for joining me today. And I invite everyone to go to pathtoprofitacademy.com. Minette has a powerful live event coming up, and that's in September, isn't it, Minette?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is it the same URL before we close? I want to make sure. Can they get the information?
Yes, absolutely. They can go to pathtoprofitacademy.com or pathtoprofitacademy.com/summit, SUMMIT, and get all the details. And it's going to be on the beach in Santa Barbara. This is the first time we've actually held it in Santa Barbara, and I'm super excited to invite creative entrepreneurs to come and play with me, because it is about 3 days of playing and showing you how you can use play to grow your business, and you can use creativity to grow your business. It doesn't have to be a struggle.
Oh, I want everyone to take advantage. Head on over to that URL. And again, Minette, thank you for being here today.
Oh, it's my honor and my privilege, and I just I never fail to be awed at the connections between our two stories.
I know, it's beautiful. So thank you, everyone, for joining me for Inspired Conversations. Listen in every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern for more sacred conversations with women just like Minette, who are here to share their feminine wisdom to support you in living your best life. So until next time, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.